Okay, it looks like we are cooking with grease. Uh, just had to reset. Sometimes, hey man, see, everything is converting over to artificial intelligence and whatnot, but you got to go through a whole lot sometimes when things are not uh, functioning. Yeah, when things are not functioning, you got to jump in there. You got to do a little this and a little that to get things back on track, and that's not always the case. It's not always the case, but I got something else for you. Since you've been so patiently waiting, I'm going to drop a little something, something on you. As soon as here it is. All right, here we go. Fragile ego, stay told. Most are divinely small. This is from my last released album, The Walls Within. God's in a Man's World. Title of this song is Bow Down. So full of sin, they chose. Bow down. Bow down. Bow down. Bow down. Led us down the path, now we're feeling God's wrath. Guns and roses, man's bloodbath. Pillars of salt, don't look back. He wouldn't bow down, but gives honor and praise. Knows the desires of man and where the loyalty lays. Planted so deeply, man's insanity. Hate-filled hearts, they're rivers of vanity. Their minds filled with want, they know not what they need. Paper chasers, greed is the seed. Fragile egos, they told. Most are divinely smoked. The walls within, fear in their throat. So full of sin, they choke. Bow down. Bow down. Pleading for things, bound by rings, heart to the flesh, not what the herald angels sing. In his image and likeness made, they're murderers of a man who with all he prayed. Profess religion, increase division, followers of one, but yet none has the vision. Spreading his word, morally diluted, values and beliefs all convoluted. Fragile egos, they told. Most are divinely smoked. The walls within, fears in their throat. So full of sin, they choke. Bow down. Bow down. Facebook, we seem to be struggling this morning. Not sure why. Let me view what you're viewing. Because for some reason it's not popping up where I need for it to pop up. So let's go here and see what we're doing. So it says it's waiting for camera. So what's happening with the camera? Y'all killing me today, Facebook. Y'all killing me.
Life has levels covered with shovels. The mind's consumed.
It says live.
Flesh, the fire resumes.
But I'm not getting.
The end is near. It's death they fear. Self-imposed prisons, man's bidding brings tears. No accountability, a victim mentality. Historics,
The crush,
consequence, fatality. A trickle-down theory, learning leader, theory. Onus ordained by us, be wary. Fragile egos, stay told.
All right, there we are.
Most are divinely smoked.
Okay, I'm satisfied now.
The walls within, fears in their throat.
So the song you're listening to in the background is the unmixed and mastered version. But it's fine. I mean, it sounds good anyway. At least to me it does. But welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host as always, Sabir Lean. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to do. Are you willing to do the work? That's the question. Are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to do what is necessary? If not for yourself, the benefit of your child. Don't they deserve that? Doesn't your child deserve better? Well, at least from you as the parent. I mean, come on, man. When does it come to an end? When? Just tell me. When does it come to an end? And I'm sure there are children who are asking themselves the same thing deep down on the inside. Right? Because what we're talking about today is adult pain. Yeah, adult pain. Control and identity shaping. That's what we're talking about today. I don't know what you've been on for the last few days, but that's what's happening, and that's what we need to be speaking to. You know, identity forms through repeated emotional messaging. The child remembers who disappeared. Behavior follows identity, right? This is what you have to look at. You have to. It's important. Take a second. If your child is nearby, or if the child is somewhere else in the house, just get up for a minute. Go say good morning to your child. Start there. Go say good morning to your child and watch the response that you get from the child. Just watch the response and keep it moving. Come on back in front of the screen. I need for you to do that. I really do. I need for you to take that moment and go say good morning to your child. If you already said good morning, go to the child and say, hey, how you doing today? Look at your response. Don't listen. Look at. Look at. Use your eyes and not your ears this morning. How you doing today, Johnny? Make eye contact. See if you get eye contact. Yeah. And if you don't get eye contact, ask for it. Hey, you doing okay? Look at me. You doing okay in there? And look. Don't listen for the response. Take a second to do that. Okay. I want you to do that. Because this is the beginning of you coming to understand where we're at. I'll give you a second. I'll give you a second. At some point, we have to stop asking who started it and ask how the child was affected by it. We have to stop asking who started it and ask how the child was affected by it. Because a big part of the difficulty always begins with the pointing of fingers. I can sit here and say a whole lot of things. That doesn't matter. I don't need to sit here and point at you and say you did this and you did that, because you know what you did. Not doing means what you did as well. If you didn't do a damn thing, that's what you did. Nothing. But at some point, we have to stop asking who started it and ask how the child was affected. And that's why I asked you, when you go to your child this morning and you say, "Good morning, Mary. Good morning, John." Look with your eyes. Listen with your eyes. Your fingers should be in your ears. Because this is where you start kind of, well, that's what he always says, nothing, No. You have to look into the eyes. You have to watch the body language. Some of them children ask you, "Why the hell are you saying good morning to me? You don't never say good morning to me." Yeah, there's something to that. What you've done is the same thing that you did when you removed the other parent. You intellectualize what it is that you're doing. You thought nothing about any impact, negative or positive. You only thought about you satisfying your own selfish wants and needs. Most of the children don't get a good morning. Most of the children don't get how you doing today. Because that's a good way to start the day and to even start the conversation about what happened between you and mom again? What happened between you and dad again? Well, no, you know what? Skip all of that. Did my daddy leave? Or did you take me away from him? Did you move away so daddy couldn't see me? Or did you move away because you wanted to just relocate and live somewhere else? What? Did my daddy really not love me? Did my daddy really not care about me? I just want to know the truth. And maybe I can feel better about who I am. Because the child takes a lot of ownership for parents parting ways. And when they take ownership for that, then, abandonment, fear, and all these other things begin to play a significant role in their lives and their ability to manage their emotions appropriately. Oh, you didn't see that part. The only thing you saw was, "I'm going to get away from this dude." How was the child affected by this absence? How? Right? Because, the real topic here is how adult pain reshapes a child's identity. How adult pain shapes a child's identity. That's what your real topic is here. Children don't just listen to what we say. They build identity from it. Yeah, they build identity from it. So let's talk a little bit about that. Negative messaging, right? Because we're talking about things now from a psychological perspective. Yeah. Psychologically, what does the negative messaging about the other parent do to the child? Because you're the parent. You are the deliverer of the negative messaging. You're doing this. So while you're bad-mouthing the other parent about this absence that we haven't even like gone into the who and what we haven't gone into that because we've already established there really isn't a necessity to go into it. The necessity is taking a look at the actions and the impact because you took these actions. You took these actions. That's a fact. Regardless of who. There's the action and there's the reaction. But most importantly, there's your truth. And the truth is how the child's identity was shaped. Yeah, the action was wrong. The reaction wasn't any better. It was what it was based on the capacity of the person. The child has no capacity here but being a child. And the capacity of a child is very unlearned. They have no tools. They have no tools. They can only go on the messaging. So that the messaging, as we said in the previous shows, didn't form an opinion. The messaging shaped the identity. And it's important that you get that part. Because failing to get that part means that the circus continues. So let's talk about the negative messaging in terms of a worldview. And what is a worldview? In psychology, a worldview is a fundamental, overarching cognitive framework or lens through which individuals perceive, interpret, and interact with the world. It's a system of beliefs, values, and assumptions regarding reality, morality, and human nature, heavily influenced by culture, experiences, and social systems. Overarching means it's the covering. It encompasses all of that person. This is how they react to the world around them. This is how they function. This is how they see life. This is how they see themselves. This is how they see parents. This is how they see living. This is how they see life. It's how individuals perceive, interpret, and interact within the world, right? So if it acts as a system of beliefs, what does a child believe at this point about you, the deliverer of the information? Because now we start having a conversation about loyalty, about trust. I'm learning these things from you because this is an expectation of me as a child. I rely upon you to give me the right information. I only know your information to be right because I don't know anything else. And then I'm hearing from others, but who I rely upon is you, the information that comes from you. So you as my mother lies to me, deceives me, manipulates me, influences my thinking and beliefs about the other parent. If it comes from you and you lie, what do I think about the rest of the world? Because now we're talking about the worldview. We're talking about interacting with other people. We're talking about interacting with that other parent, the one I trust so dearly, the one I'm loyal to, because of what I expect from you, because of what I believe you should be giving me. The right living aspect of living. Right? That means if you make mistakes, give me that too. Don't just give me that when I do something wrong and then you want to tell me, well, when I was your age. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Give me the truth about life. Not this old Hollywood version. Not this scripted version. Give me the real version. That's what I'm expecting from you. Like, after all, why would you give me anything other than? Why would you manipulate me? Have I wronged you? Why would you lie to me but tell me not to lie to you? Because I wronged you? What did I do? I had to do something. I had to do something. But you feed me. You clothe me. You teach me about living in this world, in this life. But you're lying to me. How good can you feel about yourself lying to your child? What happens when I find out that you're lying to me? Who do I go to then? Well, you put my father out, so I guess I got to find a man who's going to replace or play that role in my life, because you told me how he's nothing, he's worthless. He walked out on me. What else do I turn to for help, for the truth? Do I snort a little? Do I drop a few pills? Do I take a few puffs, a few squigs? They seem to place me in a different reality. Because what is reality? The reality is I don't have a father. The reality is I have two people who I'm supposed to trust, who I'm supposed to entrust my life to, who don't even have enough sense to tell me the truth. How does one come to tell me this and the other comes? I don't understand any of that. How does that happen? Both of y'all slept together, made a baby, me, brought me forth in this life, and then lied to me. And that never dawned on you. So now I see all these other people who I hang out with, my friends. I go to their houses. I don't see a father. And I hear some of the same voices over and over again with the same verbiage. And none of them seem to have a good man. But all of them seem to have gotten pregnant by this no good man. My interpretation at this age of having a baby is so skewed, because all of y'all had babies. All of y'all slept with somebody who you deemed as being no good, but yet you slept with them. And some of y'all continued to sleep with them. Some of y'all continue to argue, fuss, and fight and go through all these changes about him, but y'all all brought me into this. And everybody is telling me something, but everywhere I go, I seem to be hearing the same thing, that a man ain't shit. That women are nothing but bitches and hoes. Tricks. And it damn sure must be some kind of trick that if y'all sleeping together, if you and my dad are sleeping together, y'all have a baby, but damn, y'all don't even talk to each other. And when you do talk to each other, it's always by names that ain't your birth names. Y'all so full of hate. Y'all can't even sit down and enjoy a graduation together without going through some changes. Your whole being changes, it shifts when dad comes around. But the other day, I just saw y'all over there in the corner, all hugged up and kissy poo and everything like that, but he's not here. But you told me so many bad things about him, but I don't get that part. Y'all still sleeping together. I came home and saw his car parked outside the other day. I came home early. You didn't, but you won't tell. You didn't tell. Did you? Y'all still sleeping together? Are y'all using protection? Damn, because after all, you have 2 children by this dude that you said ain't nothing. It's unworthy. Don't love me. Don't care nothing about me. But every time I turn around, he's creeping. You creeping with him. But when you talk to him on the phone, you talk to him like he's nothing. You talk to me about him, you talk to me like he's nothing. What is my worldview as a child? Help me out here. Do you know? Did you ever ask the question? Are you still trying to intellectualize your lie and make it something that it really isn't? Still giving your child, our child, poor guidance. Still trying to make them believe that the capacity that you met when you slept with me is the same capacity that exists after you were born. The beauty of a child coming into this world, a blessing all in itself, speaks volumes. A blessing from God, and you still threw that back in his face too, like you've done so many other things. You threw this back in his face. But yet now you call yourself on your knees asking for forgiveness, but you never said to the child, I'm sorry. You never came to the father and say, I'm sorry. My capacity at that time, valid. My capacity, valid. But you made your capacity better, regardless of all the things we just talked about that you're doing with me as the no good SOB. The negative messaging from one parent about the other parent to a child acts as a system within itself. You have to understand the family system. You have to understand the psyche system in itself, where balance comes into play, where balance is so significant. You have the id, the ego, and the superego. You have the conscious, you have the subconscious, according to Freud, the preconscious, and you have the unconscious. The unconscious is the stuff that we need to get into so we can feel some level of freedom. But if you still got change on your child with your lies, how far is this really going to go for the child? They're going to always be struggling and always be fighting through your lies, your manipulation, your deceit. Meanwhile, no contact with the other parent. And by the time they do have the ability to see the other parent, do they really want to see the other parent? They've been given so much bad information. Like, that's how I felt about my father. My own mother's words. He was a good man. He was a hustler. He took care of me. He took good care of me until he started drinking. When he drank, he turned into a monster. Yeah. He thought he was going to beat some ass. He didn't know he was going to have a fight. So she made a conscious decision to move along. She made a conscious decision to move along. Didn't say, you can't see your kids. Didn't say, I'm moving here, I'm moving there. You can't. No, you can't come here anymore. I'll get the kids to you. And never married again. Never married again. She loved her father. She was her father's heart. She was the first. think it was Raymond, and then her. She was the first girl. Never married again. Had boyfriends. Never married again. Remember, we're not talking about pointing fingers who did and who didn't do, right? We're talking about the adult pain, the outcome. When we're talking about beliefs, encompassing the views on religion, politics, and morality. What is that child's views now on religion? Run to God, give honor and praise. Is that how you free yourself? Is that all it takes? Prove it. It's like the placebo effect. I give you a sugar pill and tell you it's for whatever it is that you say is ailing you. And you start taking the pill and begin to believe that the pill is helping. They run to religion. They still don't feel any relief. You say they doubt God. Is it that they doubt God, or they have this belief, this solid belief system, this solid value system, this solid morality that was formed by the negative comments that you are making, and they still don't see any freedom? And y'all will sit there all day long and say, well, God will take it away. Just give it to God. You have to purge yourself of the pain. It's there. God just gave you a way, the human being, the human body, a way to manage it so you won't become overwhelmed and fall apart. It resides within your unconscious self. You can go nowhere. God gave you the tools. They had to be developed over a period of time. But with your negative messaging, you have solidified within that person that they're not worth all that. They don't have the capacity to do that. And you wonder why, as an adult, they're struggling. What about the emotional capacity? Huh? You know, that's affected by your lies, by you having this negative dialogue repeatedly, mind you. You didn't just lie once. This wasn't an event when you lied about why daddy's not here. This wasn't just an event. This was a plan. This was a plan. This was a thought. Your actions began with a decision that was thought about. 3 frogs sat on the log. One made a decision to jump. How many frogs remain on that log? Say it to you again. 3 frogs sat on the log. One made a decision to jump. How many frogs are left on the log? When you look at your decision-making process, it's based off of values and beliefs. It's based off of your morals. All that stuff that resides within the unconscious. All that stuff that resides within the superego of self. All this stuff is right there. You want answers? It's in you. But many aren't looking for answers. They're still looking to blame. You want somebody to make you happy. And making you happy means satisfying your selfish wants and needs, just usually the superficial stuff. You don't know how to go deep. When somebody goes deep on you, you get arrogant. You get fearful. You start acting out. So let's talk about the emotional capacity. Emotional capacity in psychology refers to the volume of stress, emotions, and responsibilities your nervous system can handle without becoming overwhelmed, shutting down, or acting out. Oh, damn, I had already covered my outline. So let's look at that for a minute. The volume of stress, emotions, and responsibilities your nervous system can handle. Again, I want you to pay attention here. I just got finished telling you. When the human body begins to feel overwhelmed, right? The body kicks in and saves you. I got you. Don't worry about it. Remember, you keep saying you're asking God for help. You keep saying you're asking God for help. He gave us 99 attributes of self. He is but one. He is the most high. He is greater than. But you have 99 of his other attributes because there can only be one. He gave you the capacity, like he gave to me, the ability to be saved from within. Yeah, you missed that part. Right? So you don't see the power that you have. You also miss the power in the word. How did life begin? With words. Be, and it is. And then there was. You're missing all of that. You're missing all of that. And you still miss all of that. You've been going to Bible study. You've been going to Quranic studies. You've been studying the Torah. You've been studying all these meditative techniques, and you can't seem to understand why the same thing keeps happening. Your capacity hasn't changed. Your capacity hasn't shifted. Because as long as you can blame other people for your condition, you good. Ain't my fault. Right? But the human body will manage all of that. Wait a minute. Stop. God said what in Scripture? He will only put upon you that which you can. Well, it said that he will never put upon you that which you cannot bear. So when you can't bear it, where does it go? Where does it go when you can't bear it? When you feel overwhelmed and you shut down, where does it go? It goes into your unconscious self. Because being conscious of it, you can't handle. You can't handle. It doesn't go anywhere. God is helping you. He's helped you already. He gave you all the tools. You have to learn how to use those tools. But when you have a young mind who doesn't have the capacity, when you have an unlearned mind that doesn't have the capacity. See, capacity is, I have all of this available space. The more I use it, I'm probably learning additional information. It may not always be specific to this thing because life is multifaceted. As such is the human being. So all of your capacity on your computer, 128 gigabytes, is filled with what? Games. You've been playing games. You have 128 gigabytes. 69 kilobytes is game. The rest of it. So what happens? It begins to slow down. It slows down. The more games you play, the more it slows down. So when it's time to begin to put other stuff in that capacity, what happens? You can't access certain programs. You have to start deleting some old games, right? You have to start deleting. So this is what happens when you start looking at the capacity changing. The capacity begins to change as you purge yourself of the old stuff. But when you purge yourself of old stuff, you're bringing in new stuff. Now, I don't know what new you're bringing in to replace the games. I don't know. But it's the same thing with the human being. How do you think all of this came into vision? How do you think all of this came to fruition? How do you think AI and all that stuff exists? From the human being. And you still don't understand the power of words. So when your system shuts down, right, there's a rebooting that happens because now you've taken that overwhelming information and it's been pushed into your unconscious. Because this represents your ability to stay present with uncomfortable feelings, such as grief or fear, and regulate your responses rather than reacting defensively. So what it does is it just purges you of that from the conscious and pushes it in and through the preconscious. It put out, but you can't handle it yet. You know it's there. You know what happened. That's what the preconscious does. You know it's there. You know what happened. But for the things that were too overwhelming, they're still in the unconscious self, but they haven't gone anywhere. God has given you the capacity to manage your life. He is helping you when you pray, right? Because who are you talking to when you give honor and praise to God? You're talking to you because you're talking to him. I am that I am. Pay attention, folks. So whether it's intentionally or unintentionally done, when you speak negatively about the child, when you speak negatively about the other half of the child, come on now, follow me here. If we're talking about God, you're talking about you. In his image and likeness made. Come on, people, catch up. The father, 23 chromosomes contributed. The mother, 23 chromosomes contributed. How the hell do you not believe or think or understand the impact that's going to happen to the child, not just the other parent who you imposing your will upon? Come on, people. Come on. Make it make sense. When we talk about tolerance of discomfort, right? It is the ability to experience difficult emotions without needing to avoid, suppress, or numb them. You understand? How people numb all this stuff? Substance abuse, misuse, self-care, mental health is definitely affected, right? People stop taking care of themselves. Hold on, I got this little puzzle game that TikTok likes to play to make sure somebody is in here, but I've been sitting in front of everybody. Everybody else sees me, but nobody else. I don't get it, but that's what they do. You understand? So when you start looking at this, like the need to avoid and suppress things, right? I don't, so when you remember, I used to talk about, I still talk about, in some of my old, my shows, you'll hear me talk about when people say, I can't do this. It's really an admission because words have power. But when they're faced with situations that seem to overwhelm, to stress them out and whatnot, and they just say, I can't do this. They really can't do this. They really can't communicate. They really can't problem solve. They really can't sit down and have a conversation about something because they have all this stuff that's in their unconscious. That's in their unconscious. That's in their unconscious, but they're conscious of it. You'll figure it out. If you're seeking to change, you'll figure it out. Just do some research. Look at the conscious, unconscious, and subconscious, and all that. And just look at Freud's, what is it? Freud's the iceberg theory, right? Where the stuff that's above water, you see the tip of the iceberg when you're riding along in the icy cold Alaskan waters. You see it, but like underneath of there, right below the surface. Right below the surface is your preconscious self. And that big giant piece down the bottom is the part that you may never see. Because as much as it melts on top, all you see is that which is above the water. Navigating complexity. It enables holding opposing emotions simultaneously, right? Meaning feeling both sad and hopeful, right? So negative statements about the other parent, right, affects that. You can't navigate the complexity of life because it enables you to hold opposing emotions simultaneously. You feel both sad and hopeful. But when you look at the negative capacity of the words that have been said to the child about the other parent, right? It's an overwhelming effect where they can't be happy, sad. Now they can't feel both sad and hopeful, right? Because you take that away. It's just hopelessness. I can't feel hopeful about something getting better if I keep hearing from you repeatedly. I keep hearing this from you repeatedly. It's said to me over and over and over again how no good my father is, how no good he is, he has been, and he'll never be any good. You never told him that the only reason why your father's not here for your party, for your graduation, for any of this, you keep forgetting to tell them I didn't invite him. You rather give the appearance that, because I already believe that. You've already convinced me that my father won't be here. So I stopped looking for him. You already convinced me of that. Again, that's the impact. I don't look for any man to show up like he said he's going to show up. I don't look for any man to do right by me because daddy has done that to me. He's done that to you. That's who my father is. That's who every man has to be because you're my mother. You're such a good person. You could have possibly have picked somebody like him. This is the behavior of a man. Take it down a little bit, little girl. Capacity allows for better emotional regulation, increased resilience, and the ability to process difficult situations in a healthy manner. And a lot of times what happens with that is, right, I can't handle difficult situations. I don't do this. I can't do this. And that becomes your mantra in life. And I'm talking about the child's mantra. But what does that say about you? If this is our child's mantra about not being able to do this and so on and so forth, and then you look at you as an adult who had the same happen to you as a child, that's your mantra. This doesn't even fall under the umbrella of I don't need no man. This is a conditioning that has happened as a result of somebody doing the same thing to you, telling you all of these negative things about the other parent. And you've taken on that mantra as this is a worldview. This is a worldview now. And it's the cultural worldview. It happens in Black families, more prevalent than any other group of people. that there's no father there. Now, there's other systematic things that definitely work against the black family. So let's not be confused here. But most importantly, culturally, you see it from a perspective of that which you were given about your father. That's the part that's not said out loud. That there's more to the absence than the systematic, the external systematic problems. Because there's an internal problem here that continues to get minimized because you got to keep the lie alive. And then you sit down in groups and you have the same dialogue, right? And not looking at the similarities in the negative responses to the other parent that seems to be pervasive within your circle. Like, damn, all y'all's fathers was absent? And that's why all of y'all are jumping on board, jumping on the bandwagon when something goes wrong in somebody else's relationship. And that's your rah-rah crowd. That's your cheerleading squad. They continue to cheer it on. Yeah, don't let him see. He need to give up some money. Repeated messaging, which I've been talking about, repeatedly sharing negative messages about a co-parent with a child, often known as disparagement or a component of parental alienation, causes children to experience anxiety, confusion, loyalty conflicts, right? This behavior, which includes insults, criticism, or acting as a messenger, damages the child's mental health, which I just said, and can lead to them rejecting the targeted parent. Right? Also know this. Courts often view this as serious, actionable issue, as a serious, actionable issue that can lead to a parent losing custody. I'm going to say that again for the people in the front who are over talking me. Courts often view this as a serious, actionable issue that can lead to a parent losing custody. Fathers, you got some work to do on how you're reacting, overreacting to the stimuli coming from the other parent. You have to tone it down. This is part of the setup. As the primary custodial parent, I have full control over that child's life. Full control over that child's life. The courts know that. If you have judges who are making decisions that oppose the best interest of the child, we need them out of that courtroom. We need them off of that seat. We need them gone. We need to end their careers in family law. You'll fight. Put it in writing. Go before a judge. Get yourself a family law attorney. Do some studying. Come to understand some things about family law, and you use the law because that's all that matters. Everything else that you're doing, all this back and forth, is going to put you in the wrong side of the law. You know that. Men don't get a fair shake anywhere in this life. Even the so-called ones that are leading this country. They know that. That's why they're acting like little boys and girls where they are. Playing with little red, blue, orange, and yellow balls. Because there is no respect for men. So as a father, what do you think you're going to get more of? Attention. And not the kind of attention you want. when you look at the insults and the criticisms, right? You really have to ask yourself. You really have to ask yourself, did you feel that way about me when we were romping in the hay? Did you really feel that way? So what does that really say about your capacity of how you value yourself as a woman? I mean, really, because if you despise, dislike, and have such disdain for a man, why are you continuing to sleep with him without protection? And why are you allowing dude to have any say so in what's happening with the other parent being able to see their child? Because it's showing your own need. You'll appease new dude because of the value that you have. The value that you have is penis envy. It has to be. Because if you really look at it, how can you possibly have all these thoughts about me and keep on sleeping with me and keep on being with me? You're benefiting in another capacity that is satisfying that within you that you may very well be using to self-medicate. Because I told you, people do other things because when they get to the point of being overwhelmed, there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's sex, there's gambling, there's eating, there's all kinds of things to make me feel better. So are you mad at yourself? What are you mad at yourself about? Are you still mad at your parents? What are you mad at them about? Or acting as a messenger, right? So the child gets the information repeatedly, over and over again. You're repeatedly telling me about my father. It says repeatedly sharing negative messages about a co-parent with the child. Repeatedly sharing negative messages. It never goes away. Every time you got something to say about me, you got something slick to say out of your mouth. Total lack of respect for me as a man. Very disrespectful. But then it's even more disrespectful to not even have any dialogue with me and just do what you damn well please with our child. Don't communicate anything to me. But as soon as you get in a difficulty, now you want my help. Now you want my help. And you know the only reason why I will help you is because you have our child. That's the only reason why. I've moved on. In most cases, the man has moved on because what we value more than anything else is respect. But damn, we were just together last night. You took a test today and all of a sudden your attitude changed. Like, what? I'm pregnant. And you're looking for some kind of response from the other person. From me, like, okay, well, hell, but how about you're not even told that she's pregnant? Yeah. What happens then? You didn't even tell me that you were pregnant. Somebody else told me that you were pregnant. And the only reason why they told me that you were pregnant was because there was some relevance to that relationship. That's why they told me, because they gave you time to tell me that you were pregnant and you didn't want to tell me. But you were going to have the child, and then what? So I would have never known about this child if somebody else didn't tell me that you were pregnant. Because the idea was for you to, well, you know the story, right? But then you tell all of these things, and then you're not seeing how the child is becoming unhinged. What it says here? This behavior, which includes insults, criticism, or acting as a messenger, damages the child's mental health. And can lead to them rejecting the targeted parent. Mission accomplished. That's all you wanted. You wanted the targeted parent to be rejected. Don't love him. Love me. I feed you. I clothe you. I was there when you were sick. I was there to celebrate your birthdays. I was there to celebrate your accomplishment. I was there. On the other side of that knife, the forked tongue, I didn't call him. I didn't invite him. I didn't want him here. I couldn't take seeing him again. I didn't want to see him again. That's the other side of the forked tongue, the blade. But reminding you, courts often view this as a serious, actionable issue that can lead to a parent losing custody. We've come a long way, dads. Or we've really come a long way in waiting for something that should have happened a long time ago. But because we just sit back and take things on the chin, because we just sit back and we do our best, because we just sit back and avoid trampling on the emotions and feelings of somebody else, when ours is getting literally stomped on by every aspect of every system, the family system, the judicial system, right? Everywhere. Men are just trampled on. But what you hear about all the time in the news is how women are being unfairly treated. But men across the board are unfairly treated. Look at how we're depicted in film, in music. Look at those two major things. Buffoons. All we are performers. That's the capacity that the world sees us in, especially women. He has the ability to knock the floor out of that ass. That's it. That's why it was no difficulty for you to turn around and just take my child and walk away. Because that wasn't what you wanted. Anyway, you wanted a good time. That's why it's so easy. And we have fallen prey to that thinking for so long that many of us continue to still do that and don't see that we're the ones being used. We're the ones who are being raped and robbed. We're the ones because we're being disrobed and sought after, just like the rose. They got a new one out. It looks like he got a tongue or something sticking out of the center of him. My cousin was she was demonstrating it. Well, not, but yeah. So that's all we are. That's all we've ever been. And as long as we continue to ride that boat, right, we're going to continue to get the same treatment. No more. That's it. Here's our new mantra. I'm going to make a t-shirt. The ride is over. Yeah. The ride is over. The ride is over. So there are actually two parts to this. I'm only going to do one part today. But you just have to remember, identity forms through repeated emotional messaging. It's emotional. That's all it is. There are no facts. It can't be facts when you look at a person's capacity to include especially your own. What was your capacity when you made the decision to have unprotected sex with someone who you really had no love interest with? You wanted to feel good. Okay, we've done it. We do it. But everybody ain't walking off with the baby. Everybody ain't walking off with the baby. So the negative messaging, just so everybody's clear, affects the child's worldview, affects the child's emotional capacity, right? It makes them a messenger because of the repeated messaging that you keep giving the child, that you keep giving the child of the other parent. The topic of this show is about alienation. The focus, how adult pain reshapes a child's identity. Think about it for a minute. Just think about your childhood. Think about the messaging, especially the negative messaging you've been given about the other parent. Look at your gender relationships. If you are a girl, because this, it's whether you're a woman, right? Because we're talking about adult pain, right? But your adult pain was transferred to your child because of the adult pain that was transferred to you. The adult pain was transferred to you. You would passed it down to your child. Your child will pass it down to their child, and so on and so forth. It will continue to be that way. At some point in time, you becoming honest about your role in the lie to your child can interrupt that. That cycle won't have to keep going. They can do better with theirs now. They can change how they're relating to their children now and what has happened between them and the father of their child or children. You can interrupt that whole process right now. You can end the cycle on your own. If you don't, the cycle will continue. It will continue. You'll be surprised. You shouldn't be, because you already understand the power of words. Life began with words. Every word that comes from you speaks into existence whatever it is. As long as you keep saying to the child, your father ain't nothing, the child's just going to hear that over and over and over and over again in their lives. Listen, I got it. Dude ain't here. Can I live? Please. Can I live? Can I? Let me live. If he's not here on his own on the court, he has to answer to that. But you keep talking about him, he's not here. I get it. You hate him. I got it. Why do you continue to talk about my father to me? I love my father. I'm going to hold that in my heart. And at some point in time in life, if presented, him and I will have that conversation. Now, depending on my capacity, I really don't know how I'm going to respond. Because I've had a lot to absorb. I have a lot that still resides within my unconscious self about all this negativity that you have spewed from your mouth about my father to me. I don't know how it's going to happen. I hope at that time, at that point, I have a better capacity than I do now to be able to talk to him without being angry, to not reject him, to, at least give him a chance. I hope that I'll be able to. Because it's been a long, long, long road. It's been difficult. It's been overwhelming. Yeah, it's been overwhelming. Yeah, very overwhelming. Well, listen. I appreciate you tuning in. Got a lot of work to do, man. Got a lot of work to do. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, as always, Shabir Aleem. I'll see you next Sunday, 10 o'clock. We'll further this discussion. Boo, 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 boo. Yeah, we'll continue this discussion. I'm looking forward to it. Mm-hmm.
God's in a man's world. God's in a man's world. God's in a man's world.
Sound down in the background. God's in a man's world. Title track from the recently released album, God's in a Man's World. Got some new stuff coming in 2 weeks.
A man was the way, the truth, and the life. Why is praise given him? Why was he sacrificed? Who offers a child to pay off a debt?
Blasphemous, you say. The sin in the text.
His discretion, his ultimate expression. Her reward, the fruit of the womb, a mother's affection. Gone so soon, a short-sighted progression. The return of a man.
The world's obsession.
Spreading his word. Giving his direction.
Yeah.
Free will he gave us. Glorify him, not his collection. God's in a man's world. God's in a man's world. God's in a man's world. God in a man's world. In a man's world.
If you never heard my music before, check me out, Sabir Aleem, on your favorite music streaming platform.
He's our Father, known by many names. My your, their, his attribute, all one and the same. Givers of life can take it away. Image and likeness made, all given away. First created eat from the tree, easily swayed without knowledge, mind without enemy. Learned of evil and good. Before, what did we know?
What did we know?
Is this the place we're all seeking to go?
Which way?
Is better though. Free will he gave us. Death is the wage of sin. Banished from a place, forced to be led by men. God's in a man's world.
God's in a man's world.
God's in a man's world. God in a man's world.
In a man's world.
In a man's world.
In a man's world.
What he gave to few now gone, man's words, their interpretation.
Their interpretation.
How then is man held to account for sin when he's tainted by his creation? Envy, jealousy, sloth, and pride, a portion of what man unconsciously hides, presents itself consciously. Divine is no surprise. In pursuit of divine knowledge and understanding fitting for him. Why are we told to follow him when the us is more than you? He too has a counsel. Ours, us, and you are often used. Still we worship one. Their names are never given.
Y'all have a great rest of your weekend. Again, I'm your host, Sabir Aleem. I will see you next Sunday. Every Sunday at 10 o'clock. Peace.
God's in a man's world. God's in a man's world. In a man's world. Better than him, didn't bow down. Granted respite, the truth to be found. Man's affection, man made their selection. Paltry gains, sins, infection. A simple whisper, in this place we left. Don't cry now, in man's bed you lay. Seeking solace, suffering endured, worldly things, man's reward. The devil's playground, all war. His reflection, the devil's rejection. Man's correction, man's exception. God's in a man's world. God's in a man's world. God's in a man's world. God in a man's world. God in a man's world. In a man's world.
God's in a man's world. Make sure you check out that album, if that's the title track, and all my other music. I think I have about 56 releases. Yeah. 56 releases since November of 2021. Yeah.
God
2 albums in an 8-month period in 2025.
in a man's world.
Started, the last one was released February of 26, and the one before that was in mid to late 2025. I work. I work. I work. Peace.
God's in a man's world.